Well, welcome to our February Lunch and Learn, all about digital assessment. I'm Christy Johnson,
I'm
and I've
Brady
got
Dalton.
Brady.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
And just kind of to get us started, we were thinking about the different kinds of assessment that we have in our classrooms, both summative and formative. And so we thought we would talk about that summative piece just a little bit, some resources and some tools that are available for that. And we'll start with Brady for that. And then we're going to spend most of our time talking about classroom assessment, that formative assessment piece that we use so often. So Brady, if you'll get us started with TCMPC, which is always a mouthful for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So most of y'all probably know what this is, and you might use it to kind of keep track of your year and look at resources and really understand your TEKS and what you should be teaching. And then on top of that, a lot of y'all might be using another platform for formative assessment. So you might be using DMAC or Edge4 or maybe another product that maybe that's what your district paid for. And that's kind of what they want you to start using, which is totally great. And I would never encourage you to go against that. But TCMPC has worked really hard to start building a product for you that's something you probably already pay for as a district that has that assessment piece. And they've tweaked it and they've moved things. And so I'm not going to show you how to use it. I just want to make sure you know it's there and where it's at, and then encourage you to just kind of start playing with it. Maybe talk with your admin about it if they know the changes, and maybe they can kind of help you out. But all you have to do is click on the assessments right up here. And then it's going to say, hey, it's moved. Here's the new thing. So just click proceed. And then it's going to open up Campfire. And so it should open that up and you should be good to go once it chooses to load. And even then it says, oh, hey, it's moved to the library. So then you go to your library, and that's where you can start building out different exams. And so when you're there, you do want to link those to the courses. So if I would had gone back and kind of linked my TC and PC dashboard to my Campfire and then kind of merge those classes together, now you're going to able to start incorporate those assessments into those classes that hopefully you have built in TC and PC. And so I just want to make sure you're aware that's where it is, and that's where you can kind of start dabbling. I think this is the goal is that this is a formative assessment, or sorry, a summative assessment. But in talking with their department, you can really just pull two or three little questions out of that and make it more of a formative assessment. So it's going to be just a quicker couple question, and then that allows you kind of build upon that before you get to the end of the year formative assessment. And so summative assessment, these words, there's so many different. One is at the end, summative.
Yeah,
And
once at the
so
end.
one is help you form things. But so
Yeah.
that was just kind of a quick overview. Here's where you go. Here's where you find it. If you are stuck and you can't even get into TCMPC, shoot me an email. I'll help you get in there. If you're stuck and you can't find where I'm at right now, shoot me an email and help you get in there. So just a quick little overview on that. And so
And
now we
just
can get, yeah, go ahead.
just to kind of clarify, I mean, like, I'm not as familiar with TC and PC as you are. Are these like star release star tests, or are they just aligned to
They
star
are
and
aligned to
standards?
yeah, they are aligned to them. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I mean
Okay.
these are the people who write your standards. And so I mean they know them very well. And so
Okay.
that's something that you feel confident in doing these questions, that they're going to be aligned and they're going to help prep you for those standardized tests at the end of the year for sure. You can feel safe knowing that you're using these. It's not a third party thing or anything like that.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
honestly, the people who write these are the ones who are writing the ones for your DMAX and your Edge of and stuff like that. So you can feel confident using these for sure. Yeah.
And I
All right. I'm
interrupted
gonna.
your train of thought, so
No, you're good.
sorry about
You're
that.
good. No, that's perfect. And so, I mean, since no one else is here to ask questions, you got to do it for me, right?
Yeah, I'll play that role. So
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and let you jump on and share your screen
okay,
for the rest of
sure.
them, just because I think you'll be more successful in your computer doing
Yeah, your computer's
that.
being a little cranky, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
all right, let's see. Let's share my desktop. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that. Maybe.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, and it's on the opposite side, so that's okay. That's okay. It'll be fine. So, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, we were thinking about just how assessment and how important assessment is in the classroom. Like you said, you kind of already mentioned that formative piece. You could pull pieces from a summative assessment and use it as formatively, and I think that's
Absolutely.
something that maybe didn't used to be as clear. We used to think there were summative things and formative things, and really they're all the same things. It's just how you choose to use it.
Yeah, how
And
you
so I think
present it.
that's important. Yeah, are you using it for in the moment feedback and reflection and guiding instruction, or is it being used to see if students have actually got it? So like these things are really interchangeable. So even though we're showing you these as formative assessments, there's nothing to say that they couldn't be considered summative if you wanted to use them that way. So
Yeah.
All right, you want to start with the kind of the initial, the first like
Yeah.
piece of
Yeah. And
it.
so
So
like she just said, like they can be interchangeable, but there are going to be things that maybe excel more in one area or the other. There's some things that are built to do things, not that you can't use it either way, but some are going to be more successful in one realm. And so when we're trying to do a check for understanding, these are your quick polls. These are your quick, I want to get in, I want to get out, I want quick understanding because maybe I want to move on to the next part of my lesson, but I really want to make sure that we've covered the previous one before we move on. And so this is just a great way where we don't have to wait till the end of the unit test to understand if they've got it. We're going to make sure we get it while we're there and before we move on. And so you can do these with polls. Exit tickets are great for into the class. Did we get what we're getting? Do we need to come back tomorrow and start over again? And then just those short response prompts where we're just getting the information really quick. And so um, on these, we have three different kind of products that we want to talk about. Plickers is I get to talk about it, but Christy's the one who showed it to me. And so I of the three, this is the one that I didn't know, but it's probably my favorite. And the reason why it is because it really does a good job of blending the digital age with kind of more traditional classroom
mhm.
expectations for learning. And so what Plickers does, and all these are linked, so you absolutely can go in there and click on these and learn all about them. But Plickers is a great way where you're not asking your students to be on a device. So, and to be fair, they do have that now. So if you click on that and you look at, they have a whole online dashboard where you can do all the stuff that you kind of expect with these new digital age products. But what's really fun is it just gives you these little cards. It has kind of like a QR code-ish looking thing on it. If you click on that on their website, you'll see them pretty quickly. But it just has this like little diagram. Uh-oh, did I not link it right? I did not.
Well, it's okay. We'll find it real fast. Here
Yeah,
you
there
go.
it
It
is.
looks like
Yeah.
this instead. So, and I'm already logged
Um,
in, so you'll
yeah,
you'll be able to see that.
that's
I
your
can
dashboard. That's where you can do all
yeah.
the stuff. And so I was actually watching a review of it, and you can buy them from them. You can also buy packs of them from Amazon, and it's a little card. It's about yay big, and it's got basically it looks like a graphic. It looks like it
I
could be a
think
bunch of
that's
black squares and stuff like that. There you go. That's what it
they
looks like.
so they yeah, they kind of look like this, and it tells
Yeah.
you that each side is an answer choice. So
Yeah. And so all you're going to ask your student to do is hold up the image the way they think it should go based on the correct answer. And then, so again, they're not going to have their keyboards out. They're not going to be staring at a screen. They're focused on you and what you're teaching. And then it's just a really good way to get a roadmap or get a heat map of how my class looks. And so they're going to hold those up loud and proud. And then you're going to take your device and you just kind of pan the room, right? And so you're just kind of scanning it real quick, and it's going to see those students and what they're holding up. And then it's going to give you a heat check real quick. Hey, 70% of the kids got it correct, 30% did not. Here was the average question answered. And so it's just a really good way of blending those two products together, those two ideas of learning together, where you're getting the instant feedback that you want from the digital assessment without having your students have to be on a screen. And so that's why I was super excited about this, is because you usually don't get instant feedback, right, from them writing on a piece of paper, or even having them hold up a dry erase board. That's great, and you see it, but are you going to be able to process that information quickly? You're not going to be able to. And so this is going to allow you to get that flow, but still getting the instant feedback. And so that's what excited me the most about it for sure.
yeah, and I love that it's a little old school, little tech at the same time. You are limiting that. And it really all of the ideas we're sharing today come down to that idea of feedback, because
Hmm.
formative assessment is feedback not only for the students but for us. Like that's the point
Absolutely.
of it, is to know what we're
Hmm.
doing as teachers. So
Yep.
I used it in the classroom. I was really surprised, to be honest, to see that it still existed, and I was super
Yep.
excited because I think we're seeing that swing back to a few things offline, and I think this is a good way to do that. So
Yeah. And the way we
yeah,
found
let's
this
go.
was talking about our podcast that we recorded yesterday that will be out
Yes,
on Monday.
Monday.
And that's part of kind of what we talk about on that podcast.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
so yeah,
some
we
of
did
the
that one.
lasting tech. Yeah. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it stood the test of time. And then we had kind of the tried and true, the things that probably all of y'all have used once in your classroom is the Kahoots and the Quizlets. If I did it properly, they should both be linked to their web pages. Yep, there's
there's a
Kahoot,
couple.
and then you've got your
Mhm.
Quizlet. And those are
Yep.
probably really familiar to what you've been doing. It's kind of your loud, it's your exciting, it's your game based, it's getting the kids excited to be in the classroom. They're not timid or scared to like answer, they're just excited to be there. And so that's kind of the bread and butter of what these products do. is it does give you that instant feedback, but it's doing it in a way that's loud and colorful and exciting for the kids. It's usually competitive and game based, where you split your room in half or in a couple different groups, and hey, y'all are going to work together, like the answer you agree upon, or maybe it is individual. But it's just a really clean and fun way for the kids to kind of get that feedback for themselves, but for you as well. Again, it's going to be a lot more exciting and a lot more energetic than maybe the previous one was. I'm not that you can't make flickers exciting, but this is just intended to be that way. And I did want to highlight that every time you have an EdTech product, you got to fight the battle between paid and non-paid. And so not that I love this, because you are going to get excited, you're going to love it, and then not be able to use it the next year. But Quizlet is providing a free year subscription to all verified teachers. All I had to do was take a picture of my ID badge, and it took 3 minutes for them to approve me. So if you do want to get access to that, you absolutely can do that through Quizlet. I didn't find anything like that for Kahoot, but I think that's a great kind of way to keep your kids excited for sure on that front.
Yeah. And both of those platforms do have a lot that's already built, so you're not always having to create within
Correct.
that platform. So
Yeah. And then Mentimeter is the kind of the same process, but we kind of just bring it down a little bit. It's not as flashy and loud. It really is almost kind of more adulty, a little more maybe for your secondary classroom, where you want to make it feel a little more professional. And then they do build that into a presentation tool. So that's going to allow
yeah,
them to kind of like if you ever used Pear Deck, but it's like a more mature Pear Deck. Pear Deck was where you build in those questions to your slides, kind of the same thing where you can have a presentation with your information and then have your heat checks along the way, where I'm presenting the
yeah,
information and then I can ask you a question. They can do it on their own devices, whether it's their Chromebook or whatever devices you allow them to use in the classroom. But it also has a few more features like the word walls and stuff like that on there
yeah.
that you might not see in some of the other products.
Sure. I love the word cloud is one of my favorite, just because it's a
Hmm.
great way to get a, like you said, a kind of a pulse check on
Hmm.
understanding. And you can preview a lesson with it and kind of get an idea of where are we, and
Hmm.
then see where we are at the end. So I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and as you
Awesome.
can tell from looking at the websites, they're very differently marketed.
Yeah.
This is just a little cleaner. Yeah, and so
It is, yes. But it's great if you have a specific thing that you're trying to ask, you can embed that really easily. So it's
absolutely. Yep,
nice.
yep, and all those
Okay.
things are linked. We have video tutorials and all
Yep.
that fun stuff in there. So
Yep, and we'll make sure that the link is
make
included in
sure that's the correct
our
link.
yeah, we'll make sure we get it all. So
Yeah.
so another way that we think about formative assessments is really letting students demonstrate their learning and demonstrate not just their learning but also their thinking, because it's really it's not yes, obviously we want them to master things, but sometimes they don't master it, but we still need to know where are they in that process. And I think that's where things like open-ended responses and letting students create products, both digital and not. We mentioned digital because that's what we're talking about, but products and projects in general, having them visually or orally explain their thinking and what they think, because that tells you a lot about what's going on in their brains. And then just visual responses in general. Can they sort? Can they label? Can they diagram? And all those things kind of show us where they are in their thinking. And so some of the tools that kind of go along with this type of assessment are Padlet. And Padlet, we've got a couple of upcoming opportunities with Padlet that we're going to be talking about in the next couple hopefully months, I think, with some
Yep.
plans for that. But Padlet has been around for quite some time. It's really a kind of a collaboration board, if you want to think of it that way. It reminds me a lot of like maybe a Pinterest board, but you're
Jamboard.
collecting in a jam board even, yeah, or lots of different kind of interesting ones, but you could use it in so many ways. Yes, it can be used as a tool for you to share information with students. So you might have different options or resources you want them to access, but students can also use it to show their understanding of those same things by collecting their own products and projects, their comments, you can use it in a lot of different ways. They also have a sandbox, which is kind of like a collaborative whiteboard. And so that's a form of assessment as well. You're looking to see, are we getting it as a class? And so you can use that super simple. I mean, like it's a lot of good ideas here. You can see like a little sticky note, what I know, what I wonder, what I learned, so kind of like our KWL charts. So they have lots of templates. They even have a Jeopardy template. So like there's a ton of options here that you can use to get some type of formative assessment. Then we have
Yeah.
Canva. Go ahead. Did you want to say something about
No,
Padlet?
I was just gonna say the game board there for the Jeopardy ones. Like every teacher
Yes.
is trying to make a
Oh,
template for that, and
yes,
so like
yes,
I know that's a crowd favorite when you're trying to like
yes,
prep for tests and stuff like that, and so having it already
yes,
made is great for sure.
yes, absolutely. So the other one, the next one we were going to talk about is Canva, and I just kind of have linked to the education templates because Canva is free K through 12. Teachers should have that teacher account, that pro account. You have lots of templates here. And so students can then use these same templates to show their understanding of something. So they could write a report, they could create a presentation, they could create a video. All of those things live within Canva. They can even have like a presentation that they record themselves talking through and explaining their thinking, because that's a built-in feature in the presentations of Canva is that record self option. And so it puts a little bubble of your head in the corner and you talk through the slides. And so there's lots of options here for students to actually either create a product or, explain their thinking on a particular concept. There's, of course, a lot of things that you can use yourself. There's lots of games already built in. I say games like trivia, quiz type games that you can either tweak or, use as is, depending on the topic. So they've got lots of features here built in Canva that will help you kind of see where are your students in the understanding of whatever content is. And you could actually break it down by content, by product. There's lots of different options here as well. So the education templates are pretty robust, and that's not even talking about Canva coding, which we're not going to get into right this second. It's a kind of a beast in itself, but it is amazing. And so if you're thinking about doing, a game or something like that, it can actually code it for you. And so we're looking at hopefully in the again coming, either it's a future lunch and learn or it's a summer session. I'm not sure yet which one, but we're gonna pull in some of this Canva code, and so look for that coming soon. And then our kind of third one here, which I think we mentioned at some point in something recently, is Book Creator. If nothing else, we used it to create our little Merry Christmas
Hmm.
story from us here,
Yeah.
or actually, it was really just from Brady, but from us here at the tech department, because it's really got some cool features for students to be able to express themselves, and so that's a way of showing mastery and showing their thinking through a concept or a topic that they've researched and learned about. I did also include the link for these monthly activity journals that are pre-made. So you can actually kind of look at February's here and see, like, it already has like a KWL about snakes, and then it has like a little video embedded that they can watch and fill in the chart. And then the Groundhog stays on February 2nd. And it just like it goes through the whole month with little pieces of information that students can um, read about, learn about, and then complete understanding about as well. So I thought those were kind of a fun way, but you could completely make it your own as well. So you could switch that to your own topics and your own content easily. So, but those are
It'd be
just
cool
some
if you could
great
do
inspiration.
it's like a classroom
Mhm.
bookcase bookshelf with like all
Yeah.
your kids produced things in there.
Oh, yeah, it would be amazing to have, and talk about like value in that. The students really understand and see when they produce something. Uh,
Hmm.
the learning seems to stick a little more when it's their responsibility to produce something with that. So I
Absolutely.
think it's always impressive. So, all right. And then that kind of the last piece we really think about in formative assessment is that actual feedback that students get. And not just the feedback from us, but feedback from each other or being
Mm,
able to reflect on their own learning. And I think that's
yeah.
really, really important. Being able to know this was today's goal. Did I meet that is really key. So some ideas here. Having some comment banks already made saves you time. You can use a lot of cool tools to create those comment banks. I've got Google Classroom mentioned here, but you can also have comment banks and things, created. I believe Magic School has a tool that will help you create some comment banks, things like that. Because you know that there are going to be certain things that you repeat frequently with your students, depending on your content area. Maybe you need more text evidence. Maybe you need them to justify. Like, so you could have some of those things pre-made and use those. But you can also use things to give audio feedback. There's a lot of tools out there that will let you do that. but really pushing our students to be able to determine whether or not they have learned that reflection piece is super key. So Google Classroom, I've linked a couple of resources just for those comment banks and those rubrics. And of course, now with Gemini tools built into Google Classroom, that
Hmm.
process is even easier.
Yep.
And they're built right in. And my understanding, I have not been able to necessarily get into an account to prove it, but my understanding is that's regardless of what level or license you have, Google
Yes.
Classroom, it is offered. So now, whether or not your IT has it turned on or not could be a different story. Every district is different, but
Hmm.
it is available there. So, and that's a teacher facing thing. That's for you. Do you want to hit formative? You want me to take formative and you take CurePod?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So formative is, um, I mean, obviously in the name, it's formative, right? It's supposed to be like a quick way of looking at feedback from students or getting feedback from students. And so you can see that they have a lot that are already made, but you can definitely create your own as well. Um, this is one of the ones that I believe is kind of a freemium thing. Like you have a few on the free version and then the rest are
Right.
paid. So that's just the joy of it. Of EdTech, I think we're deciding here. But they can actually have, you can actually collaborate with other teachers to make assessments. So like that part is really nice, that collaboration piece. If you're working with a PLC to create those common assessments along the way to see that make sure that students are all learning the same things, that's a feature here as well. And so you can really kind of see, I was trying to see if you can, I don't even think I'm logged in, but that's okay. But you can gather real time and give feedback in real time. And that's the part that's really helpful here. And so you're welcome to check out that link and see it. But like I say, it is a subscription based service. You do have to, let's see if I can, nope, that's going to take me to something completely different or nothing. That's okay. Plans. But it's worth looking into because it is real time. So here you go. Free teacher. You have the basic tools for free. Um, but if you advance, then you have some additional features. So the function is the same. You just have additional features if you choose to pay for that. So
Which is nice that they have a
oh,
teacher version of it, where like a lot of
yes,
times they won't have an individual licensing.
yes,
So if you do get like a classroom budget, or if you do like if you're just a
hmm,
crazy dedicated teacher or whatever, you
yeah.
could buy an individual licensing if it's really important to use this product for sure.
Yeah. So it does, obviously, you can't do the common assessments unless you have that school district account, just because that's how you would collaborate. But you can still have the lessons, assessments, and practice sets as a teacher. So, like,
Yeah, which
it's
is
it's
more kind of what
still,
we're talking about anyways, with it being
yeah,
more of a formative assessment
yep,
anyways. Yeah.
yep. So it's got a lot of really good features in the free. So it's worth looking into for sure. All right, that leaves us with our CuraPod.
Yeah. So yeah, with CurryPod, I mean, I don't know who all has or has not experienced it. They are getting a lot better at letting it be cross curricular, where they are providing support for all math, science, social studies, ELA, and all
Mhm,
that stuff. But where I've seen the most growth in students is in the reading and the writing aspect of it.
mhm,
And so it is going to focus on that AI feedback tool that you use as an educator. But again, they as a teacher, you're going to have all the access to kind of see how it's evaluating it. You're going to kind of put your own spin on it on the rubric and how you choose to let those students see that. But it's just a really great way for students to get instant feedback when it
mhm.
comes to whatever curriculum you're using, and it's going to break them down into short responses, longer responses. You can let AI build you an entire lesson if you want to. But the goal here is that the kids are getting instant feedback and then they're turning that around instantly. So it's no longer just like, hey, let's do this product, let's do this assignment. And they're going to know, okay, I do need growth here, but it's going to let them show that instantly. So, like, hey, this is where I struggled. We're going to give you some tools on how to improve that part of your assignment, and let you put it in action instantly. The kids are going to
Yeah,
instantly see the results of their learning. And they say, okay, I am actually getting better. And maybe it's a point at a time, but that's okay for our students. If they're just getting a little bit of
yeah,
growth, any growth should be celebrated for sure. And
absolutely.
this is a great tool to do that. And they do offer quite a bit on the free side, but again, it's one of those
Mhm,
products where you're going to need the premium stuff to where I see the biggest change when the premium would be like the star specific aligned things. you might need to pay a little extra on there, but they do usually give you some tidbits. So if you want to click on the star science test prep up there, at the very top
Yeah.
left. So like if you see the science right there, that's got that little crown on there. That's going to let you know that that is part of the premium features. But as you can see, RLA and math are not. And so that's gonna if you are RLA or math, let's just start
Hmm.
celebrating. But they're going to
Yeah.
give you those features to allow you to jump in and get those for sure. And so again, it's just a
Yeah.
great resource for not only instant feedback, but to build upon that instant feedback.
Well, and that's, I mean, like you say, the growth is the key, right? That's what we want. So, I mean, the whole
Hmm.
point of it, and I know research says that when we build momentum in student learning, like the outcome
Hmm.
is great. But I do like that they've added quite a few since that since we've done some training with this, like
Hmm.
this rubric based AI feedback, so that you're giving your rubric, but the AI is doing the
Correct.
feedback. So you have a little more
Yeah.
control over what it's responding.
Yep.
So I thought that
Absolutely.
was really cool. But yeah, all the different subjects are here. You can do vocabulary for any content, obviously. I just lots of things, lots of tools here. So,
Yeah, I think
all
quick
right.
writes are going to be your great. Just show there, you don't have to pull back up. And those quick
That's okay.
writes are
Yeah.
going to, yeah, the quick writes are going to be just like an intro or exit ticket that
Hmm.
takes you 5 minutes. And so that's going to
Yeah.
be a really great way to kind of get that feedback really quick.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about covers it for us today. So we will get this shared out with everybody, and we will have another one coming up in March.
Yeah.
I do not remember our topic in March, but let's see if I can pull it up real fast. Oh, yeah. In March, we're going to do March 6th, and we're really going to be talking about just time saving tools because we know in spring things get crazy. So you'll want to stay tuned
Hmm.
and follow us for that one, and we will see you guys then.
Yeah. Thank you.
All righty.